Good afternoon. Happy Wednesday, LinkedIn friends, Valley First Nation. Welcome to another episode of Valley First RevOps with Zach Hussion, talking about time to value today. How you doing, brother?
Good. Good. It's gray skies, gloomy, cold. What's not to love about this time of year?
Did you get some snow
Yeah,
sometime
we
over
didn't
the
get
last
hit
week?
like Boston or New York City did. We got a couple inches, but it's this time of year, man. I'm ready for spring. I know I have some time to wait, and it's my own fault for living up in upstate New York here. It's just like it comes with the territory. So
It's fair. It's
yeah,
fair. Awareness is key.
yeah.
So I
But
won't talk too much about my 80 degrees
no,
on
it's
here
okay. I
today.
love it. I'm happy for you. It's
Um,
this is at least there's not like a lot of distractions in terms of like wanting to go outside and have fun and do anything. It's just like, sit here with incandescent lights and work as much as possible until the sun comes out. And then I don't want to be doing that as much.
and try to have some fun while we do that,
Hey.
which I think we're getting a ton of help
Yep.
from AI in doing that. But we also need a ton of help from the humans to do that too. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. This onboarding conversation. I always love it when you jump into Slack and you're like, bam, idea. Like, this is what because I just get to say, like, why? Why, Zach? Why is this on your mind today?
Well, I think it primarily was on my mind because I am like, we need to talk about something other than the customer agent. As much as I am excited about that and still want to talk more about it down the road and get into prospecting agent, some of these other things that help with revenue. Um, and there's also just a lot of talk about those things lately too, and a lot of interest from prospects and clients. But no, it's as I've been working with more clients, different types of clients. You start, developing these kind of, you know, uh, your spidey sense for when a team is going to have like a really, I think, positive experience and get the results that they're looking for and go through the transformation in a positive way, and it's going to work, right? And it's not going to take forever. And then, you can also usually see pretty quickly the teams that are going to take maybe a little bit longer. And, you have to just approach them a little bit differently. But it's like there's a very clear difference in what determines how long it takes you to onboard to a HubSpot hub, whether it's marketing hub, sales hub, service hub, you name it. It's not me, it's you. All right. It's 100%. I think not 100%. I mean, obviously there's accountability on the partners that you're working with, but so like the real big difference is on your internal team. Um, Having the right people in place, having the right mindset, having the right budgets, having the right time, right, the right attention for these things. So yeah, that's kind of
Yeah.
why it's on my mind because it's like I have I'm seeing more as I'm doing it more that some clients are just lapping other ones. I guess if we're talking about the big relay race here.
Yeah. And it's interesting because it's another moment of different than the way that, we've been taught or, the way that things have been done in terms of trying to make it easier to move forward by having less people involved because you don't know how to deal with all these competing priorities and all this stuff. And like, or just being ready and just listen, show up and listen, don't prescribe, like whatever. But we're coming across some some real power in being able to prescribe enough like upfront to get the right people like leaning in, right? And what I'm talking about experiencing again today, because it's you got to fight this like the whole concept of like don't give the prescription until you understand the problem, right?
Mhm.
It so happens when people show up and they say, I need to get more out of HubSpot, the source problem usually has nothing to do with HubSpot,
Nope.
right? It's a no communication between teams, like it's dysfunction, it's humans, right? That aren't just they're finding whatever way possible to get in the way of their own success, right?
Yeah, and you have to like kind of peel it back more and say like, well, what's really driving this? I need to get more out of HubSpot. Okay, why? Well, the teams aren't using it, and I feel like I'm paying for things. I'm okay. So what? Who cares? Really? It's like, all right, what does that really mean for the business? Well, that means that when people aren't using it, then, we don't have transparency into forecasting, and then manufacturing oh, okay, now we're getting somewhere. Or it's like, oh, like we're private equity, owned, and we need to hit this revenue goal, and we're way off target. Oh, okay. So it's like it's always gonna get, there's usually some kind of revenue, some kind of time saving, something else is driving that. It's motivating that more than just, yeah, I lay there staring at the ceiling all night because I have 10,000 duplicates in my system.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. And coming up with, I think it's viable now, and everybody should give themselves permission to be okay with some prescriptions when they don't mean tool usage, right?
Right.
And so what I mean here is the concept of unified customer view, right? It is a way to just shortcut right to buy-in and alignment in a way that I've never seen before, right? In terms of like it's not tool dependent. Every team needs it, right? Like almost all requests relate to not having the visibility they need,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So when you can say things like simple words like unified customer view, you don't have to explain
Yeah.
like
It's not a
what,
HubSpot thing. It's not a
right,
Salesforce thing. It's not a Dynamics thing. It's not a whatever, it doesn't really matter. The software doesn't matter. It's all about alignment, right? It's all about ownership. It's all about being able to make a decision, right?
right. Yeah, which is what they'll say. Like, we want the system to enable us to make better decisions,
Great.
right? And so, are we ready to share a screen here?
Sure. I mean, yeah, I got a couple of slides here. I mean,
Because
really it's
all of
like,
this is in an effort. Well, you're about to say it, so I'll just
yeah,
let you go.
it's right. It's like we just said, it's not the platform, it's not the tool, it's not the ERP, it's not HubSpot, it's not right, it's none of that. It's really, like I said, it's alignment, it's ownership, it's like being able to make a decision. So you say, oh, we want to be able to make informed decisions. Okay, great. I'm going to give you option A and option B. Make a decision on this thing so that we can get to the point where I can actually allow you to have that unified customer, view, and now make an informed decision on that, right?
Yeah,
So it's like I said, it's not the tools. It's the same tools that people are using. It's teams. It's the different teams and the accountability there.
yeah,
It's like when you look at like what should like a 90-day onboarding kind of, right? What should it be like? And and what are the ones that go really well for us and for the client, right? It's like there's a clear executive sponsor. Typically, when you have the CEO involved or a president involved, it works a lot better because they can make it part of the culture. That they can hold people accountable. No one else can hold every other person in the company accountable other than that leader at the top, right?
you gotta have it.
Um,
Like,
would
you gotta have it,
Yep.
and this is where it's like it's so I understand. Like, well, our kind of product, our kind of influence, like that's
Yeah.
not their job, right? Like,
Y-
and I get it. Like, HubSpot is not their job,
Right.
right? But that doesn't mean you can do HubSpot without them
Right.
being bought in.
Yeah, like the CEO, they don't have to have intimate, knowledge of how every little thing works in HubSpot. Like at the end of the day, they need to be involved in the conversations. They need to understand that this is like a tool that's going to help with their growth strategy, and that people need to actually be held accountable and use it. They're paying money for this thing, right? So, and we need them to help with the direction of the strategy, so that way we can go build everything out to go follow that, and that we're all aligned doing it, right? Um, it doesn't work well when, Melvin from the, customer support team says, "Hey, I heard of this tool HubSpot, and I think we should all use it." And it's like, okay, great. If that floats it up to the top, and then they just say, "Yeah, good job, Melvin." But it's like, if Melvin is the champion here and owns HubSpot, then you have like 100 people who have titles above Melvin that are going to say, "Melvin, stop annoying me with this stuff. I got more important things to do than to chase your dreams of CRM perfection." you know?
Yeah.
But if the president's saying, "Listen, guys, like, I'm investing in this, I'm investing in these tools and these people. Like, this is part of our process. I'm paying you to, this is part of your job. You don't want to do this? That's fine. We'll find someone else who will."
Yeah.
Right?
And is it fair to like include in the sponsorship a level of responsibility
Yeah,
that they have responsibility whether or not this onboarding works? Like,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah, because like you could have, Ted, the sales rep, who says, I don't, you're not you're not going to record my emails. You're not looking at my contacts. I'm not tracking my deals in here. Big brother is going to, I'm not letting you guys in. I'm keeping it all tight to the vest. You see that a lot, right? It's not every team, but a lot of them have, everybody has their TED. And it's like, okay, well, we can either decide that we're going to give him a free pass. He's different. He's special. He's, been here for 30 years. So like, go ahead,
He's
let him
still
do whatever he
selling,
wants.
Zach. He's still
Right?
closing
Still
business.
closing business.
Right?
But what does that show the rest of the team? Right.
Yeah.
And so it's like that just slowly grows. And so it's like you have to be able to say, like, well, I am accountable as the owner of this company to make sure that I'm enforcing this. So if people don't want to follow the process, then you have to be committed to say, then there's not maybe a place here for you. Like if it was any other process that you had to follow that someone just said F you to, right?
Right.
And this is, to me, maybe I'm a little biased, but it seems to be a pretty damn important one to make sure that like you get the whole team on board with, right?
Right. And this is where the difference between like I think the trap here is to confuse sponsorship with an excited leader
Right.
who knows HubSpot does lead gen stuff. So let's go get HubSpot, guys. Yeah, let's buy it. Like I'm ready to buy
Well,
it right now.
so that's a good point that you're bringing up, because then like the flip side is like, okay, you have a leader who is like, they're aligned, they understand the value that this thing's going to do, and they have enabled the team to go execute and do it, and right, they're involved in an appropriate way. And then you also have like the excited, leader who's like, okay, like I am kind of removed from our, maybe our process a little bit. I'm not in the weeds with what every sales and marketing and service team is doing. And I'm going to come in with big ideas and shake it all up. But like, I don't have all the context. And so like, I start saying, we should do this and we got to do that. And, and it's like, okay, those are like 10 steps down the road. But like the team is now torn between, well, what's Zach recommending that we're doing? What's my boss telling me that we should be doing?
Yeah.
And so then you can also kind of, right, you can muddy the water there as well. So again, that's why it says, clear executive sponsor, with authority. Yeah. And I would also add in there, some context as to what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
Making sure that it's, revenue process first. So, process over platform, right? So are we kind of planning it all out well before we go and build it all? So, and how does it all tie back to revenue?
Yeah. And this, like, man, just this morning, my first client call of the day, like, sometime towards the end of the conversation, it's like, if I can create the space for you to be able to ask for what you need, because one of my least favorite things to hear when I was inside of businesses was when I would ask, well, why do you do it like that? And they would say, well, we'd like to do this, but our system won't let us.
Yeah.
Right. And it's so easy. This is why hopefully these are tips to have the right kind of conversation
Yeah.
so that you don't get buried in that, well, HubSpot's supposed to work like this, so we gotta our process. Like, no, not at all. Right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a framework that you need to work within, and best practices that you need to follow, and you don't want to bastardize the system and start using objects inappropriately, and and this is something I talk to the team about too. It's you know, the client may say, we don't want to do that. We want to do it this way, and they're not thinking about 6 months or a year down the road when this is going to become now a problem that we're going to have to really work our way out of. So
Right.
yeah, it's there's something to be said for like, let's plan it out, let's talk, and our job is to make HubSpot work for you and match your business process, right? A good business process that we've vetted, right, as close as possible. And there are certain things that there may be some compromises, right? There always are, but you need to try to like match your business process to the HubSpot kind of framework and best practices as closely as possible. And when you do that, like things work really magically.
Yeah.
And the more that you're trying to just kind of like fit these, I always say, just fit the square peg or the round peg in the square hole, it just comes to bite you back. Your total cost of ownership is more. So
Yeah.
again, it's like, and why are we doing these things? If we're not doing them to try to impact revenue or customer experience in some way, it's like, should we be doing this thing or should we be doing it right now? Are there other priorities? Right.
Yep.
Another thing that we see that is really helpful when you're, want to kind of get through your onboarding efficiently is that you have a single owner. You don't meet with the marketing team today and then the sales team tomorrow and the customer service team on Friday and have three different conversations about three different things or the same thing three times. It's like you want to make sure that who owns HubSpot, or right, who owns your revenue operations process there, that person needs to make sure that they are aligned with what all these teams are doing. I'm not saying that you have to have like every team on every call, but like somebody has to understand like the blueprint of how this thing is working, right? And making sure that all the teams are kind of working toward these common goals.
Yeah.
And if you
And I
can't
think
have maybe a committee, if not a single owner, I guess would be okay as well. But like somebody needs to have ownership of this thing because it's not going to be us. It's not my company,
yeah, right. We can't, yeah. Like the whole idea of like checklist, like we're gonna get these things done in this amount of time, right?
Right.
And like, so I think an important tweak here, because AI enables things to happen very quickly, right? And usually the reason you need this owner of deadlines is to make sure there's trust. Like trust has been achieved because if the thing is so easy and everybody agrees it's so easy, and why haven't we done this yet? Right? Like time is not what's in the way. It is like something is happening behind the scenes where
Right.
trust is not there, right? Where all it takes is like that person that can bring that other person into the room and be like, this is happening.
Yep.
Like, agreed? Yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
It's
All right.
like,
Deadline hit.
I just here's a good analogy. I was in Chicago the other week doing a 2-day workshop with a new client. It was awesome. We had a great time with the team. They were the team that is like, I have a lot of confidence in your team and getting this thing done. Right. Right. And I still do. After that, I went to Florida and played golf with a bunch of friends and my cousin for like 4 days, and we had a good old time. But like we had talked about this golf trip for like years, right? And it's kind of like when a bunch of people in an organization talk about this thing that needs to happen, but like nobody actually has ownership of it and says we're going to do it. So finally, I'm like, all right, guys, like we've been talking about this for years. I booked an Airbnb and I booked 3 golf courses and my flight. So like everyone said that this week works. It's all good. Let's go. And it all happened, right? So, but it's like, cause I took ownership of it and it was like, I'm responsible for making this thing. Here's the itinerary. This is our plan. This is going to happen. We would have just been talking about it again. And another winter would have gone by with us saying, why aren't we golfing down in Florida right now? Right. So same thing. And then like fast decisions. So, it's kind of like you can wait forever to be perfect, right? Or it can be good enough. Like those are your 2 options. Or it can be actually really shitty. I guess that's your third option, right? You can like rush through it and make a hasty decision and produce some shitty results if you're too fast. If you're too slow, you're just not going to do anything, right? So like it's like there's this middle ground of we need to be able to make fast decisions, right? Fail fast, iterate, but like we can't sit here with like analysis paralysis and spend 4 weeks talking about whether or not we have do we do an SQL stage or not?
Right.
Do we do like it's like, well, how many stages do you guys need? What are you doing with that? Like, it sounds nice. I know you've seen it like talked about a lot, but in reality, like you don't even have an SDR who's going to do this kind of qualification. So it's like, no, you're just going to go from lead to opportunity, right? Or lead to MQL, basically. So it's like, is that okay with everybody? Well, let's go talk about it now and get 6 people to agree. It's like, well, no, like this should be a 5-minute conversation. Pretty easy. Go, no go. But if you don't have the right people in the room and you're playing a big game of telephone, that make fast decisions. And I would also like throw on there like timely feedback, right? It's like, I ask you, I give you option A, I give you option B. Let's go. Right. Cause we only have, 4 days before our next meeting. Right.
Right.
And we need to get some stuff done in between. Otherwise we show up to the call and say, hey, we talked about this for the last 3 weeks. Right.
Yeah. Every internal management meeting ever.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And then what happens eventually is that if people don't make decisions, then, people start questioning, well, what's the value here? And that doesn't end well for most people. Right. So,
yeah. Oh my God, this is so great. Like I'll let you do the last one. And we're going to walk it back. Like it's so simple, folks.
Yeah. And then just like weekly cadence, you can't go like these projects gain momentum and, momentum kills everything. It kills deals, it kills projects. All of a sudden 2 weeks go by, we haven't met. It's like, I can't remember what I had for breakfast yesterday sometimes. It's like, now I have to go back through all the notes and say, okay, whoa, oh yeah, this is where we are now. And if I'm doing that, they're doing that. It's like golfing. You have a nice round of golf. I love these. I guess, I still have golf on the mind. You show up to the tee box and you tee off and you play. Next tee box, you tee off, you play. It's like, great. We have this rhythm. I'm feeling good. But the second that you get to hole 3 and now you sit there and wait for 20 minutes for the guys in front of you to go, and now you just lost all that momentum and you go and swing the club and you take a big divot out and you're all, it's like, I lost it. Now, it's going to take me a couple holes to get back into it. And I'm frustrated because it's like, if just listen to me, it's like, it would have worked out okay. So it's like, keep the weekly calls going, twice a week if you have to, every other week, depending on, on where you're at in your project. But certainly in the beginning, you should probably be meeting weekly and make sure that the real people that need to be on the call who are making decisions and doing the work are there, and that folks do their homework. Again, you show up to every call and you haven't done your homework. Eventually it's like, there's no, like the value's not there. And someone's going to start saying, well, what are we paying Zach? And what's he doing? What's going on? Why are we doing this? We don't need to pay him. If you guys aren't showing up and doing anything, I can pay nothing to show up and do, for you guys to do the same thing. So, and then it becomes not about again, it's not the tool, it's not the consultant, a lot of times it's like, okay, you got to look inside.
Right. And so when we look at this picture together, and I think like key is like 90-day onboarding is just a framing to help you, like this can happen quickly, right?
Yeah. 90 days is like stick your finger up in the air and see which way the wind's blowing. Like, you try, but it's really hard.
Experienced. And like when I've looked at feedback about NetSuite Suite Success, right? That's like this 90 days, somehow ERP is going to be implemented in 90 days.
Right.
Like surprise, like nobody likes that plan.
Sure.
But once you start like, okay, we've got to get this done in 90 days, right? Where do we start? We start with how often are we meeting? We're doing this weekly cadence, right? But we haven't done anything else like up front to enable these other things. So we sit on these calls. We don't make any fast decisions because we don't have any framework for how we're going to decide, right? Nobody owns anything. So nobody can decide a framework to even make any kind of decisions. We get buried in the tech, in how it's going to work. We don't talk about process. And there's nobody to right the ship.
Yep.
Like in an executive way, when you're enabling multiple teams who
Mhm.
are excited.
Yeah.
Like they signed up for the weekly cadence, right? But as they experience that weekly meeting, like that, this is why people think meetings are a waste of time, right? When
They
in make
are if you
when
just meet to meet, right? And you don't
right,
have, right? If you do it in the
and
wrong
if you're
order.
not making decisions, they are a waste of time,
Sure.
right? But you need them. You need this consistent communication to move quickly,
Mhm.
right? So thinking about how all these things stack up, right? This is why it has been so powerful to say to do the intake of somebody wants to invest in a better way,
Right.
right? That's why we're here. And but when you don't let the leaders delegate getting that done, which it becomes easier when you can detach it from the tool and say unified customer view. Because I think another piece of balance that is harder to strike, it's like, okay, if it's not the tool, what is it about? And we're like, oh, we got to grow revenue 10%, right? All right. Everybody's involved in that, but what does that even mean for my team? And where we've gone with it is like, okay, marketing is going to get some leads. Sales is going to do a faster sales process. Customer service is going to have higher response times. And now everybody has different outcomes.
Well, and they're like, okay, great. Like, thanks for the really vague KPI. How are we going to do it? Right? Because it's like you're telling me I need to, reduce my response time by 50%, right? With the same Excel sheet that we're using, or like with what? Right? With the same tool that we've been complaining about that's not working, So it's like you can't give me like a, year over year improve this thing and just, figure it out,
Yeah.
right?
And that's happening a lot with AI right now, specifically, like
Sure.
going to teams saying like, all right, we got to figure out how to use AI, figure out how to use AI to get your job done.
Right.
Right. And instead, this is how simple it can be, folks. Like you can get an executive sponsor, no problem at all, for a unified customer view. Right. Then, and they don't have to do anything else. They don't have to participate because they really can't. They're not in the weeds. They
No.
can't tell every user what their customer view needs to be. Right. But then when we get there, you can talk to users and say, okay, what is the process like need to look like to have this piece of data in this place at this moment,
Mm-hmm.
right? Has nothing to do with which tool, right? That's where it can be a spreadsheet. And like, okay, like we know that it's over there, right? How do we enable it to be over here?
Yep. It's like you're typing in the same keystrokes, like, but just do it over in this place now and do it in a way where everyone can see what's going on. And like there's like a downstream, like next step, like when you're done with your thing, it goes to somebody else because it's a team. Everything is done with the team, sales, marketing, service, finance, operations, engineering, production. Like they all have to work together to get this thing out the door and to keep the customer happy, and if
Yeah.
you're all looking at different things, like, well,
Yep.
that's not fun.
And
And people
and
pick up on it.
yeah. And like what this does for the possibility of a single owner to like be in charge of a unified customer view getting done versus implementation of a full platform, or
Mm-hmm.
getting teams to understand data and context and change their processes and like, right? Because what the power is here, and this is where accountability, you have to have this agreement from executives down, and the single owner is the person who highlights the need for accountability. Because fast decisions come from, okay, we said we want a unified customer view. What you're suggesting, like we agree, might not relate to the unified customer view. Can our team be in a place where that's a quick no?
Right.
Right. That, like, sorry, you have to get to this dynamic where not everything can be a 30-minute conversation. And all of this upfront stuff enables that to be like, yeah, maybe it can go on a backlog, but we all agreed unified customer view is the quick win.
Yep.
We've got to get there. That's a no
Yeah.
right now, right?
I don't know if I cover it in one of the slides or not. But that's another thing. It's like, this is what we all agreed on. Like, these are the main goals and objectives of this engagement, right? This is why we're doing this. This is why we're putting time and people and money towards this initiative. It's to do this. And so inevitably what happens is that after the first, couple calls, somebody gets excited, right? Or upset about whatever. And they're like, we need to do this. This is urgent. This is a priority. We need you on a call like tomorrow, like with this thing, like we have to fix this, whatever. Like this just happened earlier. So and so is at a conference, their meeting link isn't working. We need you to hop on a call like ASAP to fix this thing, right? And it's like, well, that's not, we're not focused on that at all right now in our roadmap. And, the really need to have these other teams, go through the workshop, go through the training. Like these things should be set up for everybody, and everybody should know like how to fix them and what to do, what's going on, but like we haven't done that yet. And so it's like every time you do something, right? And I get it, like things pop up where you have to like just put some fires out. But every time you do that, it's like, okay, well, what, on this list over here, what are we going to take away to add this thing in there? And every time we do that, we're kicking the can down the road a little bit further for, your 90-day turns into, 100 days, turns into 200 days, and then all of a sudden now we've kind of lost focus a little
Let's
bit.
drive this part home. Like, this is what the 12-month looks like.
Yep. Right. So no owner, only, you just have like committee-led decisions. Your teams are misaligned. CRM is like an IT thing, not like really treated like a revenue engine. The customization debates, you get 10 people in the room to try to agree on like what to add to the pick list. It's like, just, we can add more, guys, and leadership is absent until like the go live problem surface, right? So it's kind of like, yep, good job, guys, go do this thing. And then, I don't want to be involved until like, oh, now I need to be involved. And then it's at that point, it's like, well, we've already been working on this stuff for 6 months, and that would have been helpful like week 1, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I love this last stat.
Right here. Yeah. So McKinsey research shows transformations are 5.8 times more likely to succeed when senior leaders are visibly engaged. So, right.
Yeah.
Be part of the process.
Right. And
but the right part.
Yeah. Right. That's the hard part, I think, for most orgs. Like, they need to be confident that when they are seen as visibly engaged, that they're not going to misstep. They're not going to say the wrong word because they don't actually know how HubSpot works.
Yes.
Right. And they can only say like, yeah, HubSpot, like so many times.
Or they position HubSpot the wrong way. And, people, especially folks who have never really used a CRM before, or they've never had that kind of level of accountability for like logging everything and managing next steps and, making sure that all the data is in there and leveraging their AI tools to get all that unstructured data, right? If you don't get people excited about it as a productivity tool and something that's going to help you guys grow as a team, as an individual, right? And you position it more as like, this is just an administrative tool that like I'm shoving down your throat and you're going to have to do it because you guys aren't doing your job. So now we need to make sure that we have this, again, like you're going to have people just kind of go on the defense and they're not going to want to change. It's already hard enough to change. So, the leader not only I think plays a part in, helping to contribute and be an architect of this solution, right? Because it's their business and they know it better than anybody. But they also have a role to play from like adoption. If you scare people into this thing, you're going to get scary results.
Yeah.
If you get people excited about this thing, you're going to go really far. And I think that there's a real opportunity to get people excited about it. I've never had anybody come up to me and say like, I effing love this CRM so much, except for HubSpot.
Right.
Right. And it's like, because if you can do it the right way, like it really makes a difference in people's like kind of quality of life when they're sitting there 9 to 5 using this tool. It's, it makes a difference. I've seen it work. I've seen it put more commission in people's pockets. Like, follow the process. I've seen 2 sales reps. One resists, one does it. 12 months later, who's at the top of the leaderboard? I'll give you one guess, So,
Yeah. And this is why, like, we break up these stages after closed won or activation between value creator and adopter, right? Like, understanding the difference and these different layers of the organization that have to be involved, right?
Yep.
Like, the value that we need the leader to create is just to, like, the visible engagement, right? And all that. And this is the difference between, they do know the business inside and out. And even if they haven't been involved before, and you ask them, like, what could we do? Like, what value would a unified customer view create?
Right.
They can answer that up and down, left and right, every day of the week if you ask them to.
Yeah.
Versus never hearing the word HubSpot before and not knowing anything about what that means. They might be like, yeah, I'm the leader. It's my job. I'll talk about HubSpot. At some point, they're out of their depth.
Yeah. Well,
Right?
it's like, if you're a car manufacturing company, okay, and like you're the engineer that works on the transmission, right? It's like, that transmission inside and out, everything about it. The CEO of that car company may say, well, I don't have that level of engineering knowledge for the transmission. He's like, but I can tell you about every part in this whole car. I can tell you, like, I know all the parts in this car. I know how they all work. I know that if this thing doesn't work, this other thing doesn't work. Like, I can't tell you exactly what you got to do to fix it, but like, I have this really, I have this really unique perspective. I have this view that sees how everything works together. And so, like, that is critical to bring that perspective and that context into the conversation, I think, as well.
And
right?
that system, I actually used that in the material science days, like, because that, if they come in there, they say they know the whole car and how it works, and then they suggest something that's going to break the car.
Mm-hmm.
You can just say that. Well, that's like, that would break the car.
Right.
So now it's an easy no, right?
Right.
And they're like, oh yeah, no, that makes sense. So maybe we can think about it later, or make a different car. Like, all that stuff is not to bring up a wall of no. It's to be able to make decisions effectively.
And that's the thing, right? When you say, hey, that's going to break the whole car, right? And then someone says, well, we should do a 6-month study on that. To make sure. It's like, well, no, the engineer is sitting right here and he's saying it's going to break the car and he's the expert. So it should just be a pretty easy, like, yes or no. So that's like, there are 3 kind of variables that I think, really drive that speed. The one is that, decision latency. Like, how long does it take to approve that pipeline stage? How long, does it take for you guys to agree on life cycle definitions, So it's like, long sales cycles are normal in manufacturing, but slow internal decisions are optional, right? It's like...
Oh, it should be. They should be optional.
Should be
feels
optional.
Like a requirement when I think back.
And like we talked about before, right? Process over platform. So you jump right into it and you haven't defined, like, your life cycle stages, for example, right? Or you haven't, mapped out all the touch points between, adding your line items to HubSpot, putting a quote together, how that data then is pushed into your ERP system and what happens there. It's like, you don't just start building integrations without mapping all that stuff out, right? It's like you're failing to plan, planning to fail. You're gonna get through it, but it's gonna be painful and it's gonna cost a lot more. Versus, like, do all the work up front here, get all the process dialed in, and then it's like you can just hand that blueprint to anybody and just say, go build this thing now, right? And it's like all the hard work was already done. The easy stuff is like clicking the buttons. That's the easiest stuff. Is like, I'll add a property here. I'll add a pick list here. I'll add a conditional field there. But it's like, why are we doing it is the hard stuff. Right?
Yeah.
And then the last one here is change management, right? So another one here, projects with excellent change management are 7 times more likely to meet objectives. So, having a adoption plan, a training plan, reinforcement from leadership, right? Clear metrics, like having an actual, like, how are we going to roll this thing out to the team? So many times it's like, great, we built this thing. So, we got to train people how to use this, right? And then, a
Yeah.
lot of it is, okay, you're going to provide all the training documentation for us. Well, okay, like, sure, we can do that. Well, what happens like in 6 weeks when we say, "Hey team, let's talk about the friction." Now we have to iterate. Are you gonna you wanna, we really want to pay me to like make the update to your,
Right.
it's like it's a virtual assistant at best, 50 bucks an hour, 40 bucks an hour. You're going to pay 200 bucks an hour to have somebody update your. So it's like, make sure that somebody has some ownership of that, that you have a clear plan. And then, again, it's like things are going to change. Who's going to keep owning this stuff? You don't
Yeah.
want it to be me.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
And that's like, okay, I want to see this for
Okay.
sure.
Yeah. So like what's the reality here for manufacturing? It's like, okay, like, you guys have long quoting cycles, long sales cycles, like you juggle a bunch of different relationships, you have ERP systems that are involved, you have complex, product configurations. It's like, okay, you're not special, right? These are not constraints. They're, they're constraints. I mean, they're not excuses. So it's like a lot of like folks will just look at it and be like, it's just too much, like we can't do it. It's, and other teams will say, tackle it head on. Hey, last year we did our ERP system. This year we're doing HubSpot. You know, like we know that we have all these things. Our business is growing. We can't continue to grow and scale without having these things in place. Like we're going to give it a name, to the problem. And this is an initiative for 2026 that we're going to go and do this stuff, right? Just because you have, your sales process is different than some other industry. It's like there's nothing special about you.
Yeah. Man, and I know I sound like a broken record, but I'm hoping that people can see these words for what they are. It's not like a marketing jargon, but that conversation about ERP versus HubSpot is real, right? And when you can find, again, we're back to a decision, like we've agreed on unified customer view. Can you have the unified customer view over in the ERP?
No.
No, you can't. Okay. So that means you're bringing data this way, like not the other way around.
It's got to be kind of really both ways, but yeah, it's really got to come back into HubSpot so you can, because HubSpot is the hub. It's
Right.
designed to be that central piece that ties it all together.
Yeah.
It's in the damn name.
All of the data that they know they need to do sophisticated things like forecasting.
Yeah.
Right. You're never going to have that, fluffy marketing data over in your ERP. You're very clear about that. We respect that. That's a good idea. It's not built for that. But guess what? If you want to forecast for real, you need that data. So what do you end up doing? Because HubSpot's not supposed to hold that ERP data. You export everything, spend hours and hours on slides and spreadsheets to create that unified view, right? But because that's how you get it done, it exists for a fleeting moment.
And then tomorrow we got to build it again.
Yes. And nobody's going to do that. So we wait for the end of the month or the annual sales meeting.
Yeah.
And people are like, all right, we sold 100 last year. Well, this is our goal. So I guess we're selling 100. Well, I guess we're selling 200 this year. Fellas, get after it. Right?
Yep.
And meanwhile, there is so much valuable data and context in everybody's heads and inboxes and spreadsheets and the CRM even.
Yeah.
Like that, you just finding a way to bring people together and align them on the conversation that needs to be had is why, like, that whole change management thing is real. When you use simple words that don't have to be explained every time you show up to the conversation, a lot of what you think you'll need to do, like, you just don't have to do, right? Like, when you have to explain what the words mean, people are well within the right to be like, oh, I haven't heard that before. Let me go back. Let me just take a minute to like consume what you're saying. And I can't make a quick decision. I don't know how it impacts me yet.
Yeah.
Right. Getting to this common language and using simple words, right, that were not decided by the vendors, that were decided by human conversation, right? Like it just has a way of simplifying these moments so that what we're describing it's possible. And as we wrap, one of the things, like, AI native shift is something that I'm trying to help with, like, organizations understand, like, embrace the urgency of AI that you have. You need it. It's a very powerful resource for you as any organization. But can you give yourself permission to move fast?
Hmm.
Right? Like, the whole goal of that is 4-week program, leaders building stuff with AI so that you can understand what it could mean for your organization. Because I can't do that for you. I can't build all this stuff out here and be like, all right, go use it this way. Right? So you get a clear understanding of what could be, because you immediately tie it to your process, your business, your customers, your value prop, all that stuff. And then you give yourself permission. So you give yourself permission to move fast because you see how easy it is. And then you give yourself permission that it's the right thing to do, to move
Hmm.
fast and bring this in,
Sure.
right? Because, like, nobody's looking at this diagram and saying, oh, I want the 12 months, right?
Right.
Like, they're
Right.
like, oh, I've been through this before, Zach. Like, yeah, 90 days would be great, but it's
Right.
taking 12 months.
Right.
And, like, you show up like that, it's going to take 12 months.
Sure.
Like,
Yeah.
right?
There was a CEO the other day, a founder, he jumped on the call and he's like, our HubSpot portal's a mess and, we need to get it all, we're just reorganized and stuff. And I'm at the point now where if you guys can't get this thing to work in like a month, like I'm just going to, I don't know. We're just going to try to, we might just figure something else out. And I'm sitting here saying, I don't know what else you're going to figure out. It's like, no, don't jump ship. We can save this. Right.
If you
But
can't get it done in a month, we're going to have to figure something else out.
Right. Basically, it's like, if we can't, but, it's like, okay, 30 days, we're not solving the world's problems in 30 days. But what I liked about it and what I took away from it was like, okay, this person actually has some urgency here. Like they're like,
Yeah.
we need to fix this thing and I'm
Right.
committed to it. And, I think before you can commit to those projects, it's like, you have to ask yourself some questions, right? Are we really ready for this? And if we can't answer these questions confidently, are we going to say, okay, if no one owns revenue strategy, who's going to own it? Right? If no one owns CRM configuration, right? Who's going to own it? Right? If nobody owns the onboarding debt, like who's going to own these things if they don't exist today? Right? And there's another like readiness assessment that actually HubSpot did a nice job with the RevOps boot camp. And I'll have to go dig for that one. But that was like it was a longer kind of questionnaire that just be like, how ready are you for this transformation? And, you should ask yourself those questions before you go and sign up for things and make sure that you're ready for it, because it's a commitment. If you sign up and you don't do it, then, you just wasted a lot of time and money. Right. So,
Yeah.
basically it's like technology doesn't slow down onboarding like indecision does, right? Budget does not slow onboarding. Lack of ownership does. Complexity does not slow onboarding. Misalignment does, right? So it's like, you have long sales cycles. It's fine. It's the business, right? Your internal alignment is totally up to you. It's your choice.
It's
You
the
can't help
one
the fact
thing.
that it takes, right? So
It's the one thing you have control over.
one thing you have control over. So, start with your team, not your tools.
Yes. Well, this has been awesome. I'm glad that we could get back to this today, and we'll keep hitting the challenging topics. I
Yeah.
mean, this is like technology, building, like none of that stuff is a limiting factor anymore,
Nope.
right? It might not have ever been, but like, so anything we can do to help with these conversations, because we're learning a lot right now,
Mhm.
because people are finally, the pain is great enough, whether it's AI or it's just they've been paying for these systems for long. Like, they want to figure this out.
Mhm.
They just don't want another 12 months contract, like 12-month process. And they can sniff the way it's been done from a mile away.
Sure. They're like, I
Right.
don't want to invest in this thing and be, 12 months down the road, still nowhere,
Right.
and it can be a really like enjoyable process. Like it can be fun, it can be really eye opening and transformative. Like, when someone says to you, hey, Zach, you guys showed us more about our own business in 2 days than we have in 60 years. Like there's a lot of power in that. Like this, like, and people were excited. They were like, I hate consultants, but we like you guys, right? It's because like, it wasn't about, the work that we were doing. It's just about how we all approached it and how everyone was ready for it. And that there was that strong alignment and, all the expectations were there. And like, and we got in that and it worked and it wasn't really just because of us. It was like the team showed up. They were all there. They sat in the conference room for 2 straight days listening to me talk. They answered all of our questions. They shared all of their resources, all of their knowledge. They plugged us into all the teams, right? It's like, great job.
Yeah.
Right. And that makes a big difference. So
it does.
Well, good, man. I'm glad that we got a chance to talk. It's been a little while.
Yeah. We'll be back next week to keep the conversation going.
Sure do.
Till next time, hope this was valuable for everybody. Don't hesitate to reach out. Happy to help with any of these conversations.
Yeah, we love it.
And until next time, everybody have a great rest of your Wednesday. Thanks,
All right, man. See you, dude.